All right, let's dive in. We're about to tackle one of the greatest stories our planet has ever known, the absolutely epic 165 million year saga of the dinosaurs. I mean, this is the ultimate mystery, right? How did these giant reptiles rule the Earth for, an almost unimaginable length of time, only to vanish? Poof, in basically a single day. How did they get so powerful? And how did it all end so fast? That's what we're going to dig into. Just to wrap your head around that number, 165 million years. Modern humans? We've been around for maybe 300,000 years. That means the dinosaurs' reign was more than 500 times longer than ours has been so far. It's a timescale that it dwarfs us. And that's the stage for this whole incredible story.
Okay, so to get how the dinosaurs rose to power, we've got to go back a bit. We need to see the world they were about to walk into, because their story didn't just start from scratch. Nope, it started from a total global catastrophe. You know, they say every great dynasty needs an opportunity. Well, for the dinosaurs, that opportunity came from absolute disaster. We're talking about the Permian mass extinction, the Great Dying. It was the worst one in Earth's history. And in that chaos, the old guard, these dominant mammal-like reptiles, they were gone, wiped out. And that left a huge power vacuum. This was the opening, the chance for a new group called the Archosaurs to rise up and eventually pave the way for the very first dinosaurs. So the entire age of the dinosaurs fits neatly into what we call the Mesozoic era, and we break that down into three big chunks: the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous. Just think of this as our roadmap for the journey we're about to take. All right, first stop, the Triassic period, and let me tell you, this was no lush paradise. It was a harsh, beat-up world still recovering, but it turned out to be the perfect furnace, the perfect crucible for a new kind of animal to be forged. Picture this, a world without the continents you know, just one giant supercontinent called Pangaea. The climate? Brutal, hot, dry, with these massive deserts stretching on and on. No ice at the poles. It was this tough-as-nails environment where the very first dinosaurs took their first steps. So who were these early pioneers? Well, we have fossils like Neosaurus and Embyrosaurus, which are some of our best candidates for the earliest dinosaurs. But here's the kicker. They started small, really small. They were not the titans we see in movies. For millions of years, they were the underdogs, kind of living in the shadows of other bigger reptiles. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff, the Jurassic period. This is where everything changes for the dinosaurs. Another extinction event conveniently knocks out their main competition, the planet itself is changing, and suddenly, the dinosaurs are in the perfect spot to take over the world. So that giant supercontinent Pangaea, it starts to crack and break apart. As new seas open up, the whole climate just shifts. It gets cooler, a lot wetter, and bam, those huge deserts start turning into these lush green forests full of ferns and conifers. For a plant eater, this was like an all-you-can-eat buffet the size of a planet. And what happens when there's that much food? An evolutionary explosion. This is when the real icons show up. You get the giant, long-necked sauropods evolving to just munch on all those new trees. And of course, in response, predators like Allosaurus had to get bigger to hunt them. And then you get these wild, armored plant eaters like Stegosaurus. The age of giants, it had officially begun. So as all these new dinosaurs pop up, scientists needed a way to organize them. And it all came down to one key thing: their hips. You've got the lizard-hipped group, which includes the meat-eaters like T-Rex and the giant sauropods. Then you have the bird-hipped group, which is mostly your plant eaters like Triceratops and Stegosaurus. It's a pretty simple split, but it's the foundation of the entire dinosaur family tree. And that brings us to the final, and actually the longest chapter in the age of dinosaurs, the Cretaceous period. If you thought the Jurassic was wild, well, this was a time of peak everything, peak diversity, and absolutely colossal sizes. The planet itself is starting to look a lot more familiar. The continents are drifting even further apart, creating new oceans. And this isolation, it's like a powerful engine for evolution. Dinosaurs on different continents started evolving in completely unique ways, which led to what scientists think was the absolute peak of dinosaur diversity, just an explosion of different species. And man, what a peak it was. The Cretaceous gives us the undisputed celebrity of the dinosaur world, Tyrannosaurus rex.
It gives us its famous rival, the mighty Triceratops. We see smart pack hunters like Velociraptor. And the sauropods, they just go off the charts, with titans like Patagodaton, a beast stretching over 120 feet long. Just incredible. And if you want to know just how different their world was, get this. Scientists found ancient forest soil, complete with pollen and roots, super close to the South Pole. That means a temperate rainforest. A rainforest was growing where there are now miles of solid ice. It was a planet on a whole other level, a super warm greenhouse world. So for 165 million years, the dinosaurs had adapted, they had thrived, they had dominated, but their entire world, this whole incredible dynasty, was about to be completely erased by one single catastrophic day. And here's the thing, they weren't on their way out. The research shows that dinosaurs were thriving, doing great, right up until the very end. So what on earth could possibly be powerful enough to just wipe these titans off the map? The culprit was an asteroid the size of a mountain, hurtling through space. It slammed right into what's now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. And to make things so much worse, it hit at the deadliest possible angle, 60 degrees. That specific angle was the absolute worst-case scenario, because it blasted the maximum amount of climate-killing gases and dust straight up into the atmosphere. I mean, you can't say it better than Professor Gareth Collins, who led that research. He said, for the dinosaurs, the worst-case scenario is exactly what happened. It was just the single worst combination of place, angle, and timing you could possibly imagine, and that sealed their fate. And the aftermath was just a terrifying chain reaction. First, the impact vaporizes tons of rock, shooting this huge cloud of sulfur and dust into the atmosphere that blankets the entire planet. That blocks out the sun, triggering a nuclear-style impact winter, and global temperatures just plummet. With no sunlight, plants can't photosynthesize, so they die. The plant eaters starve, then the meat eaters starve. The entire food chain just collapses from the bottom up. In the end, 75% of all life on Earth gone. But believe it or not, the story doesn't totally end there, because out of all that destruction, a new world would eventually rise from the ashes. And the legacy of the dinosaurs, well, it continues today in ways that might really surprise you. Okay, here's the shocking truth. Not all the dinosaurs went extinct. One small group of feathered theropods, they somehow survived the apocalypse, and they're still here. In fact, they're everywhere. We just call them birds. That's right. Every single bird you see is a living, breathing dinosaur. Their hollow bones, their feathers, the fact they lay eggs, that's all a direct inheritance from their ancient dino ancestors. So why do we still care so much about this story? Well, because studying dinosaurs is like having a time machine. It gives us this incredible window into our planet's deep history. It teaches us these huge lessons about evolution, about adaptation, and yeah, about how fragile life can be. It's also a terrifying case study in what happens when the climate changes catastrophically. And let's be honest, their story is just so cool. It continues to spark curiosity and wonder in all of us. And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending thought to chew on. Think about it. One single rock, just 6 miles wide, completely changed the course of life on this planet forever. If it had been on a slightly different trajectory, if it had just zipped past us, would dinosaurs still be ruling the Earth? And more importantly, would we even be here to ask that question? It's a pretty wild thought to end on.